Hey everybody, it's Dominic Rubino from CabinetMakerProfitSystems.com. Thanks very much for joining us here. I appreciate having you with me. This is part 3 of 3, and it's okay if you checked in here. We're talking about the profit formula today. The other videos and audios are for the revenue formula and the customer formula, and they're at CabinetMakerProfitSystem.com. Go back, download them, or download the big Word document there. You can print that off, share it with your business partner, share it with anybody you like, really, and have a conversation about how to grow your woodworking joinery business, and it's worked all over the world for other woodworkers and joiners. I've worked with people in the cabinet making industry for years and years, furniture makers, casket makers, guys that make pool and billiards tables. The basics of business all work the same, and I've been able to use that with different business owners over many continents over my 18-year career as a business coach. Now, I'm not a theoretical business coach. I have no time for theory. I think it's BS. I also, how do you say it? I eat what I produce. I believe in this stuff. I've built a number of companies myself. 2 of the most notable, we'll just do it by employee size. One of them I got up to 140 employees before I sold that business. The other one I got up to 240 franchisees before I sold that business. And the 240 franchisee business was one where I was running a global business coaching organization, training other business coaches on how to do what we're talking about here. And I was able to work with a very famous author known as, by the name of Brian Tracy. Some of you may have read his books or listened to his audios or gone to some of his workshops and seminars. So I was the guy that ran the franchise side of the Brian Tracy operation, and I trained all of his business coaches around the world. Blah, 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 it doesn't matter. Here's what's happening today. So we're talking right now about how to double your income, double your time off as an architectural woodworker, cabinet maker, furniture maker, etc. I'm following along the actual document that you can find on CabinetMakerProfitSystem.com. So please feel free to go back there, download the document. If you've already downloaded that document, I said, if you don't like reading, which I get, come here and watch the video, or you can listen to this as an audio, because I'm going to make this as an audio as well in case you're doing something else, mowing the lawn, just out at the driving range, you want to listen to something while you're doing it. People listen to podcasts everywhere. We're going to make it a podcast so you can listen and learn as you go in your truck. Doesn't matter. So we did formula number 1, which was the customer formula. We've already done formula number 2, which is the revenue formula. Formula number 2 merges into formula number 3. So we had how to get more customers, how to get more revenue, and then the third one, which is profit. And profit's the cash you take home in your jeans so you can buy a bigger boat, a nicer boat on a prettier lake with a better cabin that you got to in a faster, nicer looking truck with more doodads on it, right? So that's my job. I'm the guy that people call when they want to do that. They want to make more money and have more time off to enjoy the life they've built and worked so hard for. I'm going to try and keep this around 10 minutes, and we're already 2 minutes in, so I better get to it. You'll see me scrolling through because I'm reading, as I said, the document, okay? So listen, we already made a small change, and we got some great results on the revenue side. And on the customer side, when we started, the number of jobs we were doing was 30. With a 10% increase in leads and conversion rate, we got it up to 36.3 jobs per year. Okay, so if you want to know more about that, go back and watch video number 1, or go back up in the document and look at the customer formula for that. Then we looked at average price per job. Now, obviously it's an average, and those of you listening have different job ranges with different components to it. I get that, but we picked the number 100,000 because if you're driving, I don't want you working on your calculator trying to figure out if I made a mistake on the math. It doesn't matter. The formula works regardless of the size of your business, okay? So the average price per job before you started was $100,000 per job. Yours could be $10,000, could be $1 million, doesn't matter. But what we do then is we apply some strategies that I know as a business coach to say, how do we increase that by just 10%? Because I don't want to break your company. I just want to move it a little bit in another direction. So can we make a 10% change in the average price per job? That maybe is a great question for you to think about today after you listen to this audio or watch the video. What can I do as a business owner to increase my average price per job from $100,000 to adding 10%? And so in this case, we got you up to $110,000 on paper. Then we looked at the number of jobs per customer per year. And it currently was, or when we started, it was 1. And then by adding a 10% difference in the number of jobs per customer per year, we got it to 1.1, which doesn't sound like much, but when you go back and look at the document, you'll see that the company you started with was doing $3 million in revenue per year, and now you're up to $4.392 million per year. Which company do you want? $3 million or $4.3 million? And of course, you don't want to work more doing that. All these changes we're talking about, nothing's different in your company. You're still in the same building, same guys, same payroll system, same time and attendance system. All of that's still the same. You just started to work on the internal systems to make your system spit out what you needed to. Remember, you're listening to this because you want me to show you how to double your income and double your time off. And that's what we're doing right now. Okay. So there you go. Boom. You're almost at $4 million just by putting these simple changes in place. They're simple, but they're not necessarily easy. You also have to know which order to do them in. And if you want to know more about that, leave a comment or come back to the website, shoot me a note, and I can walk you through that as we need to. Okay. But just by changing small things in your business, look at your average number of jobs, average price per job, number of jobs per year. You can increase things. And the reason this works is because it's not about working harder, which is what got you to today. It's now about working smarter. You know, people say, I want to get to the next level. Getting to the next level doesn't mean you're going to be able to run faster, harder, longer. You're already working all the hours in a day. You've already put your entire life into this business. I don't want you working more. Now it's time to work from the neck up more. And so to work smarter, not harder. So we've got a couple important things here. Make sure you go back and download the document if you and a business partner want to walk through this. It's a great document for both of you to read if you're on a growth trajectory. If you're a sole owner of the business, then just go grab a coffee, glass of wine, glass of scotch, whatever you like to do, a smoothie, and just sit down with the document and consider it. That's all you got to do, man. Just consider it. Just let another way of thinking come into your mind, because you think about producing cabinetry all the time, and I think about business improvement all the time. So dig into what I do so that you can leverage that knowledge for yourself, okay? So the profit formula is like this. It goes revenue, which was the output from the revenue formula, video number 2, minus cost of goods sold equals gross profit. Once we have our gross profit, we then subtract our operating expenses, and that equals net profit, which is cash in your jeans. Now, some of you are far better accountants than me, which is easy because I suck as an accountant. I'm not an accountant, but I hire people who are accountants to tell me the information I need, and I would suggest you do the same thing. But the formula is really simple. Don't get caught up in the definitions. You can go to your financial professional and say, what's our cost of goods sold for the year? What's our cost of goods sold on that job? And they'll be able to tease that apart. If they can't, then make that a little inside project where you and your accountant, your CFO, your bookkeeper find that number. It's really important, right? Because you want to take your revenue, and the first thing you subtract is your cost of goods sold. This is where our business is a little bit wonky. And the reason it's wonky is because you can have a couple of desks you're making out of mahogany and bocote right next to regular melamine jobs, right? Regular plywood jobs, for gosh sake, I don't know. But the cost of goods sold can be really wonky, and that's why profit is the only measurement that makes any sense at all in our business. It's profit per job. Internal efficiencies can sometimes bring you more profitability than getting more and bigger jobs. And you control that environment. You control everything, right? The way the shop is laid up, which guys are working where, which jobs you're putting in the process, where you're doing what, all that stuff is under your control, right? You can't control the humidity on site because it's delaminating, but you can control everything in site, right? And so you need to have all your systems in place so that if it delaminates on site, you're able to say, look, we use humidity controls internally, and that shouldn't happen. Go look at your own site for that answer. You guys already know these things, right? So we do the same thing here on the business side. Dig into the things I'm sharing with you because I want you to improve your business. You want to listen to this section if you're working way too hard for the money you take home. Okay, you probably are working way too hard for the money you take home because that's just your nature. You probably built this business to where it is today by doing that, or you worked side by side with your dad, your uncle, your cousin, your friend, or somebody, and now you bought it from them and you've already worked like a dog to get where you are. So this is an important section, an important piece of info for you. If your shop is always busy but cash is always tight, if you're flirting with bankruptcy, by the way, that is not a pretty girl. Bankruptcy is not a pretty girl. Do not flirt with her. But if your shop is always busy, but cash is always tight, if you need to invest in other business tools, but where's the money? If you need another CNC, where's the money? If that glue pot keeps going and you just need to change it, but you just can't find the money to do it, where's the money? Then you want to listen to this section because the changes there will spit off the profit you need. Hey, what about you? What if you need to take a raise, but the funds aren't there? Maybe you're taking care of aging parents. Maybe you're taking care of both your parents and your wife's parents, and that's putting huge strain on you financially. I get it. I mean, this is a reality of the world we live in now and the ages we are. And if you have that in place, the easiest thing for you to do is go back and look inside this profit formula. Okay, the money's already in your business. You can tease it out. As a matter of fact, there's some other articles on Cabinet Maker Profit System for you on that. So feel free to go there. All the stuff's free. Go download it. It's great information. Use it and put it there for your benefit. Hey, maybe you're having kids and you need more money. That's a little more happy thought. And if that's the case, feel free to go back and download the information and put it in place. If the bank says you need to fix things or your loans are at risk, then you probably want to be listening to this section too. And more importantly and more fun, if you want to buy cool stuff and go to nice places, if you deserve a new skidoo and a new boat and a new cottage and a new truck to get there, and you deserve to golf in the Maldives because you do, well, then this section's good for you. Okay, I don't know if they even have golfing in the Maldives. Scuba diving in the Maldives is probably very nice. All right, look, strong leaders have always sought out wise counsel. That's just the case. That's presidents always have people in the background, not the guys with the glasses and the little earpiece. Those guys will shoot you. I mean the other advisors back there. Presidents of countries, prime ministers, kings and queens, their job description is pretty basic. Runs country. The coach of your favorite sports team, whether it's football, hockey, soccer, whatever it is, their job description, runs team. That's their job description. Job description of a business owner, runs company. The guy with the smallest, shortest job description has the most important job, and that's you, my friend. And inside this formula is where you get the things, the information you need to run the company properly, okay? Profit's not the only measurement, but it's the last thing measured after everything else gets done, okay? So here's how the profit formula works. You look at your revenue. So let me go through for you if you're listening to this. The revenue last year was $3 million. The cost of goods sold was 62% of revenue, which is $1.86 million. And that leaves you with a gross profit of $1.14 million. Then your operating costs were 27% of revenue, and that's $810,000. And so now your net profit, which is your cash in jeans, from a business that did $3 million is about $330,000, a little greater than 10%. Now, this is where it's important that you go back and look at the document, which you can print out for free off cabinetmakerprofitsystem.com, because it'll show you things laid out nicely and you can scribble in the margins. If you're wondering where I got the number 62% or 27%, I use financial benchmarking tools that I get from CPAs and CGAs throughout the country. When you submit your taxes, when anybody submits their taxes, it goes through a CPA or a CGA, and when they submit it to the government, it goes through an intermediary software program. That software program pulls out certain data that I have access to, and it tells me in our industry that most companies have a 62%, most companies like yours, 62% cost of goods sold. And they have operating costs at about 27%. Now, if your numbers are higher or lower than that, you might be thinking, oh, I don't need this clown. Well, our number's better. Well, that's 50%, right? So just thinking about cost of goods sold, the average company has a cost of goods sold of 62% of top line revenue. That means 50% of people have better than that, and 50% have worse than, they suck worse. Okay, so if you find yourself in that 62% range, please don't pat yourself on the back and think you're doing well. My friend, you could be doing better. And some of the things we're talking about here, you're obviously open to learning those. So that's great. So you could be doing those things better. So if you want to know more about it, leave me a note here. Go back to the website. Do what you need to get in touch with me, and I'll walk you through those reports. They are available. They're just not available to everybody because it's tough to get them unless you have the right programs to download the information that's appropriate for you guys. So listen, can I pull all this info from QuickBooks, Wave, FreshBooks, whatever you use? Yeah, you can. You still need to know the inputs. And the reason is because information, my friend, is power. Information is power. And the more info you've got, the more power you've got. So let's look at some of these things. Revenue. We defined that one in the last section. Revenue is the sexy number we all want to talk about. And if that's the case, then profit's the lingerie, my friend. I said it. All right. Now we'll subtract the cost of goods sold. And this, of course, is where our industry gets wacky because the prices of our different input products could be all over the place. Gross profit minus operating costs equals our net profit. And operating costs, look, I'm not an accountant. Your accountant can walk you through this. It'll be a very interesting and boring conversation. Interesting to them, boring to me and you, but it's important because this is where you add up your labor, rents, insurance, and other expenses. Now, some guys will take those costs and add them to their quotes as a man hour or a man day. And we're going to be dealing with that a lot here on cabinetmakerprofitsystem.com. How are guys measuring? As a matter of fact, if you've got thoughts on how you measure, how do you charge for your shop? Do you just call your shop a man and charge it out on an hourly basis? Do you know your costs right down to the penny so that you can add it to any job on a man hour or man day basis? That's a really good way to track things. And if you do or don't do that, let me know. I'd love to hear your take on that. I'm not the only one out there doing this. But if you want to, if you want your net profit to go up, of course you do. Here's some things I want you to do. Okay, so here's the action items. Number one, so share this with your partner, share it with anybody you like, print it out, go back and look at the list, grab a cup of coffee, glass of wine, glass of scotch. I don't care, but this is the meat of the whole thing here. Carefully, very carefully pick apart your cost of goods sold. And I want you to question everything. I want you to question your cell phone plan, your internet plan, who's doing your on-site security, question all the software as a service products you have. Do you need them all? Look at your cost of goods sold. Set aside some time to have a meeting with your accountant, your financial person, to pick that apart. Let me ask you this. Are you negotiating hard with your suppliers for every deal? Is your company at the point now where you're inviting suppliers in to have a review of all the jobs you've built and ask them to justify their pricing to you? And in each of those meetings, you should be telling them it's time for us to get a new level of discount, because it is, and Dom said so you can tell them that. Call your vendors. Tell them you want to prepare an account review. See how much you spent, right? Have your accountant or bookkeeper check to see if they're giving you standard pricing when the vendor contracts or agreements are billed, or if they're giving you something else. So did you get an agreement, and are they charging the way that agreement was? Have your accountant, your bookkeeper, or somebody internally do that for you, and then report that back to you. You will be surprised at what you find. Look at your operating costs line by line. Is your landlord charging you for something he or she should not be? Is the city charging you for something they should not be? Have your accountant, not you, I want somebody else to do it. Have your accountant call up the vendor for each line item and tell them your company wants a discount. Every single line item. Now, the reason I don't want you doing it is in case it gets to a level 2 conversation, then it can come to you. But first, just see if somebody else in your company can get that discount for you. Make it a fun thing. You're going to be able to find money right there on expenses side right away. I want you to do this as well. And please write this down. Even if you don't do the rest of the things, please make sure you do this one thing. This one you got to do, okay? This is the big one. This is the one conversation you've been waiting for. Have your accountant prepare a report. And that report is called Days Cash Outstanding. That report, Days Cash Outstanding, sometimes called DCO. It's not very creative, but that's what it's called. DCO, Days Cash Outstanding. It's going to tell you who owes you money and how old that receivable is. You need and deserve that money. So call that person, that company, and ask for it today. Okay, there is money out there right now that you guys have built and installed that you have not yet been paid for. Go get it. And that goes with change orders as well, right? The other thing, this is going to take you a little bit longer, maybe you've got some funds to do it. I'd like you to buy your building and stop renting. Buy your building and stop renting. My uncle once told me that when you rent or when you buy real estate, your costs change, because when you rent, every day is the most expensive day in your business. But when you buy your building, the most expensive day in your business is the first day. And every day as you pay down your principal and interest, it gets cheaper and cheaper. The second thing it does, and this is really long-term planning, is that one day if you go to sell that business, you can sell the company but keep the real estate. So now you become the landlord, giving you some passive revenue while you are fishing in Cabo, and somebody else is running the company out of the same building you used to run it in. So I want you to buy your building and stop renting. Boom. Look, there's more information here. I can't go in. We were already at almost 18 minutes on this video. It's a little bit long, but I do want you to get the information. So go back to cabinetmakerprofitsystem.com, print off the report. If you already printed off the report and you're here for the audio, we're going to be doing much more audios digging into some of the hows and the wheres and the whys of this. So please keep checking back. I appreciate your time because I know you're busy. I know you're busy because you're building great stuff and you take pride in what you do. And so I very much appreciate the time you've taken here. Please do me a favor, share this information with somebody else. We need to know it. We all need to know the info. It's just the basics of how to make a business run better, right? So share it with your business partner, share it with other people in AWI or AMAC or your joinery association, whatever it is, kitchen and bath association. But let's get more people knowing how to do these things better so that we can all improve. All right. Thank you so much for joining us here. Any questions, please leave a comment or at least like this video or like this piece of material so that I know that I'm going down the right path and adding value the way I want to and for you. My name is Dominic Rubino. I'm with ContractorProfitSystem.com, and I look forward to hearing your stories of success, about how you put these in place. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.